Hey, I'm Mike Miller. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks so much for watching The Other Side. Today I have Gary Chase, and we're going to talk about music and things he's been doing. So, this has been a pretty good year for you so far?
Yes, it has. I tend to play with a bunch of different bands and a bunch of different groups, and I'm always jamming around somewhere. That's where I met you at, was playing out at shows. I do a lot of the open mics locally and things of that nature, and so
doing percussion for other people.
I'm dominantly a hand drummer.
Hand drummer.
At times I do percussion, but my main focus is more of a cajon.
Yeah. How long have you had that particular one there?
This one I've had for 15 years.
Really? Yeah.
It's so old that I've rebuilt it over and over and over again.
Really?
Eventually, the little screws that are on the side here, they have locking bolts in them.
Oh, do they?
And just on the top of the drum where I sit on, it's got a little divot from where my hand is, just my thumb has rested.
Oh, a resting spot. Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the playing ability of it. It's just something where my hand naturally goes.
It's almost like a Willie Nelson guitar or something.
Yeah. When guitar guys look at it, they're like, wow. They're like, this thing has seen a lot of wear. I was like, oh yeah. And I've played hundreds of them, and I can't get them to sound the way this one does.
Yeah, it's just got that sweet sound.
Yep. And I've actually added, I cut years and years ago, on the inside of this drum is a snare from the bottom of a snare drum that I cut a V in, and I attached it on the inside of this drum right here and right here.
So there's a snare going across there?
So that it gets two different sounds.
Yeah.
And you can specifically hear it.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, you get a different
third sound.
A third sound, which is the blend of the two.
Yeah.
So.
So who is that group you've been working with? They have dancers. You met them at the Scarborough Fair or something?
Yes. One of the groups I play with, Wild Sky Tribal, is the name of their dance group. We have a music side of that and an instrumental side of that, and it's called the Temple of Doom. And so Temple of Doom, it's named after the Doumbek, which is, in the English version, is D-O-U-M-B-E-K. So we took that as kind of a spoof on the word, and made this group. And we have two flute players. We have, I think, 4 drummers, and then there was a bass guitar, and I think recently we're going to add a guitarist.
Really?
In there. So.
How many dancers are there?
Could be anywhere from a half a dozen to a dozen.
Yeah.
It's a pretty elaborate group. Really, really fun. We do a lot of the Scarborough fairs, the Renaissance fairs around the area. There's a local Italian restaurant in Arlington that hosts us, and we get to go down there, and it's that is what they refer to, I believe it's called a hafla, and it's kind of like a celebration of dancers, and all the different troupes and gangs get together, and you get to just hoop it up and have a really good time.
Yeah.
So
what kind of instruments have they traditionally used? Cymbals and things, or tambourines?
Yes, they have a tambourine. It's called a reik. I know it's a Middle Eastern style tambourine. Of course, they have the finger cymbals, which is more or less what they call zeals.
Oh, okay, those finger cymbals, yeah. They just attach those there, and then they clap them together.
And they clap them together like that, and that's what gives them that little zeal or ching sound.
Yeah.
The traditional drum that they use for that is called a doumbek. There's also a modern version of that called a darbuka. And darbukas and doumbeks are traditionally what's used in that style of playing or
that
dancing.
goes back hundreds of years.
Yeah, the from my knowledge, the Doumbek predates the Darbuka. The Doumbek goes all the way back to Egyptian time, and it originated, from my knowledge, of the old mail carriers that rode horseback, rode from town to town. And from town to town, they had a rhythm that they had played.
Really?
And that rhythm came from that area. And that's how they would refer to or know what town they were receiving info from. Then it naturally made its way into the intimate setting of the belly dancing or the celebrations. And from, again, this is just basic knowledge of what it is, but the maksum and the ayub and rhythms that refer to that came from those regions, those ancient regions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So.
And then we had the Pony Express in America.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's the basic of all that stuff.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Now, originally, just talking about music, there was a band that I played in with a group of guys when I originally moved back to Denton in 2010. And now we had a college group of friends that we played with, but the main group that I'd played with for so many years was called 1140. And that's where kind of our friend Bone Doggy, that's where he met me.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We did an open mic for him years and years ago.
Yeah, I think I remember that, yeah.
And so back when the banter was in its heyday and we were all hooping it up out there.
Yeah.
So really funny story just to kind of tell you about some things. This is a thing that Bob and Ellen and Steve, you know, that are from the banter. We had showed up, 1140 had, and we looked like some homeless cats. We really did. Just some long-haired hippies sitting out front. And they had just fairly recently, opened up Banter, and they were hosting an open mic. They had a really small stage, and we went in there with our full band and played. And they were so worried because they didn't know what they had gotten themselves into. And we got in there wasn't even room for me up on the stage.
Oh, really?
And I sat on the corner and played my hand drum.
Yeah.
And everybody loved it. And from then on, it was a tradition, even when they expanded and made the stage, you know, a more dominant area, made it larger. I still played on the front of the stage.
Oh, really?
It was just a nostalgic
Became a thing. Yeah.
So that was really, really cool.
I remember hearing about them. And are they still together?
No, the band has parted.
Yeah.
We had kind of made different directions. A number of the band members are still around the area. Yeah. And you know, just like everything, we see each other and jam and hang out and all that. But it was a wonderful time.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed every single minute of it. So.
And you've worked with so many bands over the last few years. You've played with several bands at the Denton Folk Fest.
Yes, I did. I played with a guy named Old Moose. His name, I think his real name is Doug Anderson. He was around. I played with him. I played with Matt Grigsby. Yeah. A number of times over the years, and of course Aaron. I refer to him as Squigs.
Yeah, but Price. Yeah, Aaron Price.
But Aaron.
He's a good songwriter.
Yes.
And you worked with Matt at his Dan CD release party, didn't you?
I was there. I didn't play that show.
Oh, huh.
But I was there for that. Now, me and Matt are going to soon. We're playing a show over at a place in Lake Dallas called The Point. And we're going to be doing a show over there in a couple of weeks.
That's good.
And so
it'll probably be after this airs.
Yeah.
But he just continues to write more and more songs, and
oh yeah. And it's so enjoyable playing with. And I had figured out over the years that this style setup that I have here, this is called a cajon, and this right here is a style of djembe. And so that's a traditional African drum. Now this is a modern version of it. But I had played with a number of different groups, and I didn't have a vehicle at the time. And so I would take my cajon, my box drum, around with me to the open mic setups, and I would play. And I would really enjoy it, and then I would go to a different open mic, and I would want to have a djembe there. So I would bring my djembe. But then either time, I wanted both.
Yeah.
So I figured out a way of attaching them both to the back of me or my bicycle.
Oh, really?
And I thought of as many different genres as I could to play this style of setup on. So that way, that naturally lends itself.
There's so many different sounds you can get with just that, yeah.
And it lended itself to several genres, but it mimicked a drum set sound for the singer-songwriters who played acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
So in a more intimate setting, you know, a really acoustic style, I could play those rhythms that would naturally be, you know, I guess you would say observed as a drum set sound on this hand drum setup.
Especially since you put that snare in there in the front.
Yeah. And so I made a conscious decision to, as opposed to playing drum set and playing with sticks, I put down my sticks at some point.
Yeah.
And anybody that sees a bigger live broadcast of a performance that I'm doing with a larger band, I have this style set up with more drums and cymbals. And so I've actually figured out a way to use a suspended cymbal with like a pull chain.
Oh, really?
On the side of it. So when you hit it with your hand, it
like a sizzler cymbal, yeah.
Yep. And so, and you can again get that crash sound and things of that nature. So,
what size cymbal do you use?
I have two of them. I have a 16 and a 20-inch ride.
Yeah.
And one has a tambourine that sits on the top of it.
Oh, yeah.
That gives it a sizzle sound. The other one has like that sizzler pull chain style sound.
Yeah.
So, and then my hi-hat has the exact same thing. So.
You have the tambourine set up on top of your hi-hat? Yeah.
And it gives it that in conjunction with this gives a really loud popping sound.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Ellen and Dean.
Ellen and Dean is the major group that I'm with right now.
Really?
I've been playing with them for a while. I totally love and adore it, enjoy it. I started out as their hand drummer, and we didn't have a kit drummer. And so the band has kind of morphed and had different members and things of that nature. And we now have a kit drummer. Tim Knighton plays with us. And so now I get to do percussion. So in that group, I actually get to do congas and
Oh, really?
shakers and tambourines and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. As far as a visual reference to the way that I look at drums in general, is the kit drummer, the drum set drummer in a band for me is if you visually think of like walking, so it's left, right, left, right, left, right. That's the basic beat. Of course, now you're going to have that style in like a rock setting.
Yeah. Just a comfortable feel that people can become engaged with. Yeah.
Now, for me, doing that in hand drums, as opposed to just left, right on the just walking, the percussion side of it is more of a rhythmic thing for me, where it's the hands moving, it's the eyes looking around. So if you take that same beat, but you add it with like a lot of flair, but it's still, so it's a basic beat, but I get to have a lot more fun.
Do you ever use drum machines?
No,
Yeah.
I used to have an electronic drum set for apartment style purposes when I lived in a duplex or an apartment or a dorm room.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I owned a big drum set, and then I eventually gave that away, and now I just have hand drums. So I totally enjoy it.
I'd like to hear y'all with Tim playing. Said he's a good set player.
Oh yeah. And we have some gigs coming up too, and we have a CD release party coming up. That'll be in March.
That's good.
So, and then we're a lot of the groups that I'm playing around with, we'll do things at the Jazz Fest.
Yeah.
So you can always
schedule something there. Yeah.
You can always find me at Denton Arts and Jazz Festival. I'm all over the place.
Who have you played with out there?
I played with Bone Doggy a number of times. I've played with Ellen and Dean out there. I played with 1140 out there. So it's been a real joy to play that festival every year.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. Have you played at the Blues Fest?
I have. I actually did a gig with Bone Doggy at the Blues Festival several years ago. That was super fun. Always enjoy that. I love hanging out in festivals just as much as I do playing at them.
Yeah, but it's good to be involved.
Oh yeah. So,
what are some of these other instruments that you've brought?
Well, these are basic shakers. So, just to kind of explain what the style of shaker is, this is called an egg shaker.
Yeah.
And the color is resemble of the level of sound that you're going to get out of it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So the yellow is really, really quiet. Mm-hmm. The blue is a little bit louder.
Oh, yeah.
And then the red
is the hottest sound.
Is the loudest of all of them.
Yeah.
Now, to kind of show you some of the different things. So this is the same style. I didn't like the yellow. It was too flashy for me. So I painted mine gray, but it's the same thing.
Oh.
It's super quiet. Now the blue is a little bit louder.
Yeah, a fuller sound.
So, and then they have a red one as well, like this. That would be super loud.
A sharper sound. What's actually inside of those?
They're a little type of seed almost.
Seed, yeah.
A lot of them have a synthetic seed now.
Really, yeah.
Kind of like, I refer to it as those plastic BBs. You know, like in those airsoft guns.
Yeah.
They have those style things.
Yeah.
And so now these style here, when you play this and you get that super soft sound, and you play this, you get that louder sound, you can take these apart.
Oh.
And you can mix them. So you get both of those sounds.
Yeah.
So
That's
it gives
pretty
you a
good.
really full,
Yeah.
rich sounding.
It almost sounds like two people playing maracas.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and then when you just add them both together, you get.
Oh, yeah.
Now that little thing that you can do, so the terms we use as far as rudiments go, you can always do rudiments with shakers. That whole like a simple paradiddle sound.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Triplet, things like that.
And you can,
Yeah. Embellishments.
yeah, and so you can have all the accents and different things like that. Now, one of the other things you can do as far as shakers go, I have the ability of locking my actual wrist right here.
Really?
So what that does is it gives you almost like a reverberated sound. So whenever you play, you can.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
So that's kind of a little thing that you can do like that. Now to take that even further, so that's that style of shaker. This is an egg shaker that's put on an axis, and you can actually get these for hi-hats too.
Really?
And so they'll come in a set of 4. So
Oh, yeah.
so when you're playing a hi-hat, it'll give you that sound. But so you get that double.
Yeah.
As opposed to
But
having.
that does sound good.
As opposed to having to hold a bunch of them
Yeah.
where they might get muffled.
That's a good idea.
You know, you can really hear
Yeah.
the different sound in them. Now, whenever you have a shaker, this is more of like what they call a snap or a one-shot style shaker. It's got a really crisp.
Yeah, crisp.
So if you were to take that,
Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
and then when you go from this style sound, so if you were to do something like that on for a live performance, this is an actual studio shaker.
Yeah.
And this, you get a lot more vibrant sounds out of.
Yeah.
So you can kind of hear.
Really fills in, yeah.
And this is just a larger version of the little small one,
Yeah.
like I had here. So as opposed to needing to be mic'd up on stage or something like that, you'll really be able to.
Yeah.
So you can really hear a big difference there. So, and of course, these are just basic maracas.
Yeah.
And these things get super, super loud.
Yeah, those can really get loud.
As you know.
Especially if you're miking them and.
Oh yeah. Now, in here, these are different styles of
tambourines.
Tambourines, and you'll see all different configurations on these.
The number of cymbals they have.
Mm-hmm. And so
those are lined up, and these are like alternate.
Mm-hmm. So this is going to be your traditional tambourine that you would see someone shaking around on stage.
Mm-hmm.
These have stainless steel jingles,
oh, really?
And they're one on top of the other.
Yeah.
So it's going to give you
pitch. Yeah.
that style sound. You know, you're gonna hear that. That's what you mainly hear when people are out playing. This is one that has both of them, and so.
Oh, two kinds of metal.
It's this actually has a brass, and it has a stainless steel jingle.
Mm-hmm.
Now these are alternated like this. It gives a lot bigger response to the actual tambourine. So.
Yeah, it really fills
in. And you can, as opposed to,
yeah, a tighter sound.
So you can really, and you can, where this one, it gets, you know, it's kind of a little bit harder to control.
Yeah.
When these go alternate, you can really.
They're more sensitive. Yeah.
And you have to, you can, just the control you're able to have over a tambourine like this.
Yeah, and you use them for rolls and.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now this one is what's called a studio tambourine. So you get the sound of the brass and the stainless steel jingles, but it's super vibrant.
Yeah. It hits a high pitch, it seems like.
As opposed to.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot more.
Yeah, really catch that ring in there.
Yeah. Now what I've done often is I play two of them together.
Yeah. It really cuts through.
And you can really, really hear it. So, now I don't know if you can see this down here. This is called a tambo toe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy here in town. His name is Lane Boozer.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually makes this. When I very first bought this one, I brought it home and I took it apart because it had these two little jingles in here, and it wasn't loud enough for me. So I took it all apart and I put brass jingles in the middle, and the next time that he saw me, he was like, "Gary," he's like, "you figured out how to take my instrument apart." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I redesigned it and made it louder." And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, and I added a bunch of stuff and muted it here with some weather stripping."
He didn't want you to go into business with him.
Well, he actually took pictures of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Dude, that's really awesome that you figured out how to take this thing apart." So that added with a cajon.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So you can really get a huge variety just by adding that one little instrument there.
Yeah.
You know, it's.
Maybe I should get you to upgrade mine. I never could get the feel of it. It just seemed weird to me to.
It's so when you talk about the styles and just doing that. There's the drum set players that I know. They can do the techniques, they can do the rhythms, they can, you know, if they're focused on it, you know, they can do that. But the thing that they struggle with is they can keep the rhythm going, but they can't keep the momentum up in their hands.
Yeah.
It starts to hurt.
Yeah.
So you really have to figure out where to hit the drum, where to make it comfortable, so that you can play, i.e. for 3 to 4 hours.
That's right. Yeah.
Now that just keeping that beat, if you start off super slow and just kind of forget about that, but know that that's where your tempo is.
Yeah.
So no matter where you're at, and then you can take as many out or back in as you want.
Yeah. Possibilities are endless, I guess.
But just know that that's where that's where it lies at.
Yeah, that's the main thing is the beat, yeah. Well, Gary, I appreciate everything very much. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? We're about to run out of time, I think.
No, that's totally fine.
But
I've totally enjoyed being here.
I appreciate all the things you've shared with us, and you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you soon.
Follow your dreams, and they say, do what you want, and money will come.